Alright, here we go. I am super excited to get this one going. Divinity Original Sins 2. A little bit of a hardcore run. We're going to play with 75% reduced experience and twice the amount of monsters. And we're going to go for an honor mode run. One safe game, hardest difficulty, and hopefully we're not going to make any crucial mistakes. So for those of you who haven't seen the initial video about the party setup, I'm not going to go through that again. Just a little bit of an expectation of management of expectation rather. I am probably not going to do too much of a cutscene slash long story exploration mode. I am assuming that you want to either do the story yourself or already know the story. I'm more focusing on really how to approach the game, and I will assume that you know nothing about the mechanics, so once in a while I'm going to explain some of the things. Also the background, and of course justify why I choose something. So we're going to go with an elf as a main character, mainly because of Flesh Sacrifice. Every 5 rounds, that is a bonus action point right there. Very, very strong, in my opinion, by far the strongest ability. And since the main character is supposed to be a knight, we are going to go fully through with that. Main character is definitely going to be called Syken. We are taking the standard look. I'm okay with it. The body looks a little bit ugly, but the rest is fine. So as a preset, we are going to go with a maximum strength build for the get-go. Strength as a physical stat is increasing. For each point the damage is increased by 5%. Also you can carry a lot more of items, plus it's going to be relevant later if we are opening certain items like sarcophags in a crypt, for instance. As for skills, we're going to go with Warfare, which is the standard melee skill for two-handed weapons, but we're not going to invest into weapons really. Instead, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here, and I'm going to start with summoning. It's not going to be something that I'm going to do extensively later, but for the beginning, since we are lacking equipment and we're going to go up against at least twice the amount of monsters as usual, I am very, very afraid that this character is simply too fragile in order to survive. We are going to go with Thievery at the beginning. The character later will, in Act 2, go for Persuasion, but for the starter, we really need a lot of money and items from the get-go, so we need to be like top-notch equipped. This is our starting build. As for the selected skills, I really have 2 skills in mind that I would want to go with, one being the totem and secondly the incarnate. Both of these skills are like super flexible. Within the totem we do have a repetitive blocker, something that can take a hitbox plus various additional elements as damage, can even deal physical damage, and the incarnate is even stronger. Another body on the field plus, if we summon it from a water source, directly going to give us healing as a very, very strong ability. So instead of going for healing from other sources, this is just a cooldown, an extra cooldown right there. I'm going to use Battering Ram, mostly for crowd control, because you can knock people off, but also for mobility. And since it's a skill that combines actually both elements, crowd control and mobility, I am going to take it. If I wouldn't play on such a very, very dire difficulty almost, I would certainly skill a little bit different. But I think that is the skill that that's the skill set that we should be using. Opportunist is fine for the beginning. It's a lot of extra hits. I was thinking about Comeback Kit just as the very first skill to make sure that we are not dying, because at the beginning that is very likely. But I think I'm going to stick with Opportunist for now. We're going to take 2 traits or tags, Barbarian and Outlaw for now. It's going to be relevant a little bit later for certain dialogue options. And yeah, that is it. Here we go. Let's get ready to do the prologue, which is going to take us to a ship, and we're going to try to flee from it and get as much experience as possible from it. Keep in mind, we're going to have about 75% less experience from combat, so this playthrough will heavily also focus on exploration and questing, and we'll use every little bit of experience option that we can get. Elsewise, I think we're simply going to be under-leveled, so a lot of the experience from the game itself is coming out of or coming from killing monsters, and this is what we're simply not going to receive. With 75... oh well, yeah, it's alright. With 75% less experience, effectively it means even with double the amount of enemies, we're ending up at 50% of what we would normally get. So that's a harsh reduction. Let me get the skill set straight. So we're putting the skills that we need here, 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 and we do not need that one. Plus here. Good. So, as always, at the beginning, you should search through every single box just to get the maximum amount of items out of here. We're going to start with a bedroll. For those of you who do not know what a bedroll is, it offers you the opportunity to freely regenerate out of combat. A little bit of an armor there, which is even better. A helmet for us, although it's just a crappy bucket. And yeah, we can skip all of the NPCs. They give you a lot of background information, but nothing really material in terms of equipment. Matter of fact, they don't have equipment there themselves at the moment. We're going to take a couple more bedrolls and buckets for our party later. And we are gonna go for some food. I'm not the biggest fan of food, to be honest. I think in the game itself, it has been grossly underpowered, so it is really not that attractive to go for food later in the game. Also, the food-related talents, like, they never convinced me, really. The bonuses are marginal at best, and it's not worth the effort. Plus, sometimes it just takes a lot of effort to create food. But since we do not have any real healing abilities other than our incarnate, I think it's still worthwhile. So there's nothing wrong with it. Potatoes, yes, please. And I'm going to collect food all over the run, because there are some nice side abilities, specifically for harder fights. It can be the difference between not making it or barely making it. Like, food usually gives you stat buffs, and the stat buff can be Constitution, for instance, just giving you a couple more hit points. So I've seen close calls which were possible due to the usage of food, so that's where we are going to use it later. Good, so we are looking for a murderer here, and that murderer is Vindigo. She's going to murder the shit out of the Megasters, which brings us to the general storyline. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but apparently the Megasters are an organization which does not like the usage of swords. Swords is a specific form of energy that you can use in order to wield very, very powerful magic, as you have just witnessed. She literally killed all of them in one strike. We are gonna go and collect all of the weapons. Unfortunately, no ranged weapon here, but a couple of extra sources for food. Bottles of wine are worth a little bit, so I'm just collecting that for money and for trading a little bit later. So another bottle of wine, and we should be good to go. Which leads us to the second area, the first area where we are going to have some fights. And I would do the next video specifically to finish the prologue. So here we go.